Hello everyone and welcome to today's very special Deadman live stream. I'm your host, Mod Aiza, and I'm joined by some familiar faces within the community. We have Manked.
Hello.
PureSpam.
Hey.
And Dino.
Hello.
All right, so this is pretty standard of the intros to the Q&As. We'll do it for you guys as well. How is everyone doing today? I'm going to start with you, Manked. What have you been up to? How are you feeling?
Pretty good. Took apart an old bed and made a new one last night, so my arms are aching so much. But apart from that, very excited for tomorrow.
Why bother putting up a bed when you're not going to sleep for the next 3 weeks anyway?
That is very true. It's very true.
All right, how about yourself, PureSpam? How are you feeling? How are you doing? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I'm good, Ben. Last few days, not too much, just preparing mentally and physically for the sitting in my chair for the next couple days straight without getting up. Just went shopping, went for a nice meal with my brother because he's going away to university this weekend, so had a nice catch up with him and said goodbye. And yeah, ready to game tomorrow. Very excited for it.
Heck yeah, it's going to be a good day, I hope. Everything is crossed at least. And yourself, Dino, how are you doing today and what you've been up to?
Yeah, very similar. Took the day off streaming today, just getting ready for tomorrow, basically going over some final plans, and yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. Final plans for Deadman, I assume?
Of course. That's all I'm going to be talking about for the next month straight. So,
any secret strats you want to reveal right at the start to kick things off?
I can't be doing that. I can't. Got to keep that a little bit closed.
All right. Okay, fair enough. Well, before we kick off into the main part of the stream, we're going to be basically talking entirely about Deadman Reborn, the upcoming PvP tournament. We've got some announcements to make. I'll also apologise in advance. I'm not in my usual setup. If you've noticed, the background's very different. I'm not at my own home. I'm currently living with my fiance's parents at the moment, and they have a dog that is very loud at times, which makes our dog very loud too. So if you hear a lot of barking, I apologise. But the first announcement, aside from that, is !Deadman. Tomorrow brings the return of Deadman, and it's back more brutal than ever. The battle begins at 12 BST, that's midday, around about 30 minutes after the usual update time. So prepare yourself to fight for your lives. All three of them, that is. As you try and make it through 21 days in the most dangerous version of Gillinor. Get up to date with our Deadman Reborn news post with !Deadman. Thank you for that, Sani. That was a very good write-up. We'll also be live on September the 17th for the finale, where we'll have game casting play-by-play, showing you all of the action from the new intense 11-round competition format as the finalists fight for a place in the $32,000 prize pool. Heck yes.
Sheesh. Jeez.
Second announcement, !Torvesta. If you're looking for a handy roundup of what's new to this version of Deadman, outside of the stream, of course, then Torvesta has you covered. Check out his guide, which will give you everything that you need to know about the upcoming PvP tournament. Use !Torvesta to watch it after this stream. And then we have !Premier Club. Obviously, with Deadman coming up, you need to be a member to be able to participate in Deadman, so why don't you get yourselves the best deal on membership ahead of Deadman's return with the Premier Club Summer Sale. For a limited time, you can get a best value 12-month membership subscription, which means you can enjoy all the upcoming content, including leagues, Group Ironman, and more. So grab the bumper gold package before it ends on September the 14th with !Premier Club. And then last but not least, !Summer Summit. If you want to get excited for the rest of the upcoming content coming to Old School, then check out the Summer Summit and answer to the lack of RuneFest. Catch up on all the keynotes and more with !Summer Summit. Now, if you do have any questions you'd like to ask myself or anyone who is present with me today, the lovely content creators that have taken time out of their schedule to join the stream, please @OldSchoolRS with your questions. We'll try and get through them as and when we can. I do have a bunch of questions I want to ask myself, and of course, partway through the stream today, we're going to reveal 3 more sigil power-ups that have never been seen before, and we'll be going over them live. And I can promise you that no one in this stream, apart from me, has seen them. So all of the reactions are going to be genuine and pure. And we'll have a little good chat and, yeah, pretty much go through them. So I guess, first of all, I asked you how you were, but I didn't really ask who you are and what it is that you do. So maybe if we just do a quick round table, introduce yourselves. This is your opportunity to tell everyone about what it is that you do, what kind of content you produce. And yeah, anything else that you want to say, but keep it PG. And we'll start again with you, Manked.
Okay, well, last month I came back to properly streaming RuneScape, as I've been doing various other things. But I just PK, basically. So I've been PKing for like 15 years, playing a lot of Deadman, and yeah, that's all I'm doing these days, just PKing and enjoying life, talking to chat.
Nice. You're doing a series at the moment, right? And you do a road to a certain amount of gold. I saw your bank value before you ended your stream earlier this morning. How much are you at the moment?
So 3 weeks ago, I started at nothing. Well, I had a nightmare staff, is it? The 1 bill staff,
Okay.
the harmonized orb, and we PK'd about 1.6 bill in about 2.5 weeks. So we did pretty well.
Ooh, damn. PureSpam needs to take some tips from you. I think he was down 1 bill somewhat recently, so maybe
That's a
maybe could
reminder.
ask you on some ways to make that back. Which is
I
a
did
great
indeed
segue.
Yeah, a few
to
weeks
you.
ago I did indeed to I forgot to protect item for the PKing. It's like 15 plus years, and it happens to the best of us, I guess, at some point. And and I forgot to protect item, and I lost 1 bill to someone. Although just like Manked, it took me a couple of weeks to rebuild back and an extra bill profit. So we're good. We got money to to spare now in case I forget to protect item again. But my name's Ian. I've casted all the DMMs for the past couple of years. Love live breathe Deadman mode. It's my favorite game mode. Massive fan.
You're not wearing the t-shirt.
Very excited
though,
for this
so.
one. No, actually, you know what I'm wearing today, mate?
Okay, I've seen that one
Representing the
before.
geezers. The geezer, there we go. But yeah, no, I'm super hyped, man. This Deadman mode obviously is going to have the most changes that we've seen in so many years now, and that's one thing that I've been waiting for and I'm really excited for a long time, to just shake up the metas and everyone goes in completely fresh, not knowing what to expect, and has a great time. So yeah, really hyped for this Deadman mode. Like I said, I'm mostly PvP related, but I've done a lot of Iron Man stuff over the past couple of years as well. So trying to do a lot of everything really, and just enjoy the game mode. Looking really forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the great kind of like sales pitch there for Deadman, hyping it up. I really appreciate it. you did mention about Iron Man though. You're currently also currently playing a new hardcore Iron Man, aren't you, PureSpam?
Yeah, so I have a pure Iron Man that I've had for a few years. It's endgame right now, but I've finished most of the stuff I want to do apart from the really RNG-based stuff like getting a T-bow. So I'm currently playing a hardcore, which I'm about to go to TAB on, like 90-something combat, and probably die after a few attempts. But my last hardcore I died on because I forgot my teleport at Zora, and I couldn't escape. So I'm trying to get back now to the endgame content that I was at and try and rush it and maybe get an early scythe, have some fun on it. But that's what I want to continue after demo mode, of course. Got to play DMM first because it's by far the best content in the game, in my opinion.
Awesome. Well, best of luck getting the scythe and the blood runes that you'll need to power it. And
Thank you.
last but not least, Dino. What are you currently doing on your stream content at the moment?
I would sound very similar to Manked. I always just PvP or PK, mainly deep wildy. I'd say I'll probably have very limited knowledge outside of the wildy, which is quite shocking to be honest. That amount I've played the game, and yeah, just looking forward to Deadman mode. I actually started streaming with the first, or with a Deadman mode about 3 years ago. That was my first stream, so that's what got me into streaming. So
wow,
looking forward to it.
Awesome. I guess it kind of makes sense why you took the whole day off to plan for Deadman if you only know the wilderness, because you've got to do a lot more content this time round.
Yes, yeah. It's the whole day planning, and I think I'm about an hour in. It's not good. It's not going well, but.
Ooh. And to be fair, probably most of it is going to be turned upside down when we reveal the extra sigils and when the update goes live on Wednesday, and you get to see exactly what kind of powers you'll unlock throughout the journey, I guess.
Yes, yeah,
cool.
definitely.
So I guess then you've all kind of mentioned that you've played Deadmans before, got a lot of experience, but how would you say if you gave yourself an experience level of, I don't know, between 1 and 5 for Deadman overall, where would you rate yourself? 1 being you don't really know anything about Deadman, and 5 you would consider yourself a Deadman expert. Manked, what do you reckon? Where do you sit?
I mean, I've got the shirt. I have to say 5, surely, right? Yeah, I've probably got every single place in the rankings for Deadman. So I've been, I think I've been first, I've been second, I've been third. I've done all that. So yeah, I'd say 5.
Yeah, no big deal then. Yeah, all right. I was going to hope that you would say 5, because if not, I'd be like, well, if the winner isn't a 5, then what are we doing here? This might be a silly question. I probably already know the answer, Mac. But what is your favourite Deadman moment of all time?
It's a toss-up between Shiloh Village, because it was a week straight on TeamSpeak, just having a good time with all my friends, and the first ever Deadman, because again, the metas were completely unknown, so it was just really fun. And hopefully, Deadman Reborn will kind of allow me to relive that, because no one knows what to expect, and you're gonna have to change your plans last second because some crazy stuff happens. I'm very excited for it, and yeah.
Great. Okay then. PureSpam, where would you reckon you sit on the scale?
Probably similar to Manked, having played for too many years now. Although, to be honest, going into this one, I think the same for everyone. It's going to be, you're not going to know what to expect, and a lot of the plans that we're doing, they're going to be turned upside down. Not only is the fact that you've got the sigils that completely change the metas up, but also when you can only plan so much. Like in the moment, certain places might get locked down and like PK is going around, so you got to be able to switch it up on the fly. So I'm really looking forward to that. As for my best favorite moment, I've got to jump in with Manked as well. The Shiloh Village play from Blazers and Fools. I think it was a year or two ago. We locked down Shiloh Village, one of the parts of the quest area. And I put a video up on Twitter a while ago about it, and it's just the fights we had there. We used to everyone would go to sleep and then have their like phone next to them with Discord alerts on, and we'd have this like amber to red level warnings. So like you get like a notification if it was like amber, like be ready to log in. Wake up and be on the move. Like we might need to get 50 to 100 people logged in to secure this area, and you just like wake up and like 5 minutes later, never mind, it wasn't people messing up, don't worry, no one's coming to hit us, you can go back to sleep now. It was just like days and days of just doing that and just being like super excited for it, and just the camaraderie, I guess, of like jumping into TeamSpeak with people, having teammates and friends to play with, and or Discord or whatever, and just everyone being given little things to do. Playing with friends, demo mode is all about that, even though this one's a lot more solo friendly and allows players that are solo to be able to really survive by themselves. Having friends to play with always makes the game mode better, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to jumping into calls with people again, and that's always the best part of it, playing with people and having fun together.
Great. Well, hopefully we'll see some of that action play out again. I know there's a few areas that have changed over between multi to singles, but there's still a lot of areas that are multi that will remain that way. So check out the blog if you haven't already, just to make sure that you're aware of all the changes that we're making. And then yourselves, Dino, where do you reckon you sit in the scale of Deadman rankings?
I want to say 5, but it's going to have to be a 4 because I've always played the seasonals. I've played every seasonal, but I could never, because I used to work as well, so I could never have enough time to sort of grind a tournament. So I've never actually made it to the 1v1s before. So I can't give myself a 5 because of that. So I'd have to say 4. But yeah, in terms of the seasonals and like knowledge of quests and things, I think I'm up there.
All right, that's good. Well, I'm glad to be joined by a bunch of veterans for Deadman whilst we're talking about Deadman. If you had a favourite moment in any Deadman event so far, Dino, what would it be for yourself?
I can't remember exactly what season it was now. I just like the start. There was one where there was no immunity at the beginning, and I just remember going with a group of, or it was my team at the time, probably about 20, 30 of us, and locking down the stronghold, just in a certain world, and just like fire strike PK, and it's just so simple, but it's just nice because you have to rush. What spell you're going to unlock. It makes you so much stronger, and I just love all that. Just being new again. Like it's like being new to the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as it was a great moment, times like those were part of the reason why immunity had to be introduced in the first place.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that just couldn't end up playing because of it. But I think that's the beauty of Deadman. It's always been this evolving system. It's never been the same well, I say never been. The last few variants of Deadman were very similar. It did become very stale, which is why we ended up taking it away for a few years, and now we're coming back with Deadman Reborn, a whole host of changes. Because we want to relive that. We understood and got a lot of feedback that it was about that not knowing, the unknown, the new metas, almost like you're re-experiencing a new game, but a game that you're familiar with. So hopefully Deadman Reborn will bring that to everyone that is going to be playing and getting involved. And I mean, one of the ways that we're going to be doing that essentially is by introducing the sigils. We've touched on them a little bit. They've been mentioned at the start. You pulled in that they're going to make some massive changes. Why don't we have a look at not the sigils that we're going to reveal that were voted on? We'll do this a little bit later, but let's have a look at the starter sigils, because there has been a change made to one of them actually. So we can have a look at those and their effects. So why don't we have a look at the sigil that revolves around ranged, actually, because that is the one that was changed most recently. And I actually I'll prep myself a statement from Mod Husky, who had a quick point to make about this. So this is the sigil of the Ruthless Ranger. Now with this sigil, upon dealing range damage, you have a 10% chance to cripple the target's movement. The effect will deal 5 damage over the next 6 seconds and drains a total of 30. It's meant to say run energy, but it says rune energy, unfortunately, in that time. I didn't spot that. That damage is then doubled against targets with no run energy. Now, a target can only suffer from one of those effects at a time. In addition to all of that, you'll gain 50% XP in the range skill. Now, one thing to note about this, in case anyone was unaware, the additional experience that you get from the range skill is also in addition to the multiplier that you would have got from the combat bracket. So say, for example, you were in the 3 to 35 combat bracket, you get 10 times combat experience. Well, you now get an extra 50% on top of that as well. So it's multiplicative. It means that you're going to be ramping up those skills really, really quickly for these sigils that you've locked into. And this is one of the sigils that you get when you first start in the game mode. So yeah, there it is. What do you guys think about it?
I can literally hear Ditterbitter shaking in his boots right now, thinking about me running around the desert trying to stop him from getting himself ancient magic with my emerald booties. I think this is going to be a really, really strong early game, especially. Being able to just drain people's energy when they don't have staminas or anything, or low agility in general, is just going to be so powerful. As we know from the combat triangle, range is the most accurate usually, and you can wear like full tank gear as well and still be able to punish your opponent and have high defenses. So this is going to be, I think, one of the most popular ones from what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do you want me to chime in as well?
Go ahead, keep it rolling. I'm going to quickly edit my script so I can tell which sigil we're talking about next. So you guys steal the show.
Yeah, no worries. I think at the beginning, half of the people normally go the wilderness route and they end up just bolting everything with range. So I think a lot of people will pick that just for this, because the XP multiplier as well, that's absolutely crazy. And only for a tier 2 as well. Like, I'm so excited to see what tier 3s, the power of those can actually hold. So yeah, it's looking like a really powerful one, and I'm scared to see what tier 3s are, to be honest.
Well, we do have a tier 3 sigil to show off to you a little bit later. One of the ones that we got people to vote on just so happened to be a tier 3, so you can get a sense for the kind of power difference, at least, between them. Dino, what do you think about the Ruthless Ranger? Is this one you're going to pick?
I think it will be incredibly strong, like I say, early game. I can't see it having much use in like the 1v1s, but in terms of, I'd say at least for the first week or two, it's going to make it really hard to escape from a PK, because a lot, especially early game, is mobility. And if you can't run away from them and you don't have freeze, I actually can't think of an escape or an easy escape. So it's definitely going to be strong for the first week.
I will add as well, one of the first sigils, one of them gives you unlimited stamina. So couldn't you just have that and then not be drained from the crippled as a look
at PureSpam, his metagaming. He knows what's up.
Sorry, being a nerd.
No, I mean that's the whole point, though.
Wouldn't it?
Oh, okay. There's been a lot of people have been concerned. Well, not a lot of people have been concerned, but there have been concerns that maybe the sigils are too strong, or that they'll favour the PKer too much over the person who's trying to defend themselves. But actually, there'll be a lot of sigils that will counteract some of the effects that you'll see. Maybe some that will counteract things that you would normally experience in game in different ways as well. So these are just the very first ones that you're going to get access to, and there's 53 in total. So yeah, it's very likely that if you feel like there's going to be a lot of people starting around with the Ruthless Ranger sigil power up, then you may want to take the stamina one, and then have that so you can get yourself back to full run energy and run away essentially. Now this is the words that Mod Husky had to say, and I'm just going to read this word for word here. But this was in regards to the change, because originally the actual effect of this was that it would just deal 6 damage over the next 6 seconds, I believe it was. It would just tick 1 1 1 1 1 and go. But essentially, Husky has said, during one of our playtests in the previous week, it became very apparent how much weaker the ranged option was when compared to the other 2 starting sigils in the early game, especially against NPCs. It straight up did less damage than a magic without a healing effect, which we'll touch on in a little bit, and it didn't have the fun aspects of the melee relic. Since we're offering these sigils at the start, they need to all be powerful. This change should do that, whilst also adding some additional strategy regarding energy management when playing against it. So yeah, pretty much, you know, something as simple as attacking a cow, it just felt a little bit weak, because you just see these 1 damage hits come up, and it was like, oh, well, all right. It doesn't really do anything against NPCs, because NPCs don't have run energy. So now, when that effect triggers, it will always deal double damage against an NPC, because they don't have run energy. Let's have a look at the second sigil now then, which is the sigil of the Menacing Mage. And again, these are the sigils that you get to pick when you first create your account, or when you end up losing your 3rd life and you have to start again in Deadman Reborn. So everyone will have access to these at the start, or one of them at least. So the sigil of the Menacing Mage, upon dealing magic damage, you have a 10% chance to curse the target. The curse deals 12 damage over the next 6 seconds and heals you for the same amount. Now, a target can only be under the effect once, so 1 curse effect at a time. You also gain an additional 50% XP in magic skill. Now, one thing I'll just point out before we go over this is that the sigil of the Ranger was a cripple effect. This is a curse effect. So whilst you can only have 1 cripple or 1 curse effect on a target at any one time, they both can be under the effects of a cripple and a curse effect. So it may be beneficial to maybe have someone, if you're planning on going out in multi, for someone to have the mage sigil and someone to have the range sigil to really optimize your damage output.
That's awesome. I think that one's going to be huge for outlasting, having that HP that heals you back as well, like Blood Barrage on steroids. That's going to be, yeah, really huge. I like the sound of this one more so than the range one. What do you think, Manked?
I think it's a really good starting one as well, because we all know how difficult it is to level up Mage because of the money issues that you have early game. So that 50% XP boost in Mage is going to get people to barrage a lot sooner, and maybe even charge or blitz PKing. So it'll be really good for that.
Yeah, this will probably be the one that I'm going to pick, I reckon. I think it'll be really good for the 1v1s at the end as well. Obviously, we haven't seen the other sigils yet, but the heal effect just seems incredibly strong for Outlast, like Ian said.
Cool. So would you say that between this one and the range one, do you think the mage is going to be more popular overall?
I think for PKers, this one would be better. I think for PVMers, maybe the range one will be better, because you don't really mage that many things in PVM, maybe. Or at least range is usually more effective. That's the way that I'd think about it. But what do you guys think?
I think it depends on the playstyle. I think I know a lot of my friends, especially multi-PKers, they don't necessarily always tribal all the time. They prefer just 2 styles, be it range or melee, and I think the range one will be very strong. And like I say, for chasing people down the first few weeks as well.
Ooh, Paul just made a really good point in the Twitch chat as well about the dot effect. Like, if you get a freeze, you try and teleport away, but you're getting hit this damage constantly, you won't be able to get the tele off either. So you could end up being like really dangerous in 1v1 situations for PKers. They get caught out when they think they can get away as well. So that's one thing to pay attention to.
That's a good point. I mean, the great thing of it as well is that I have the knowledge of the other sigils that are available, and no one else does. So I kind of looking at this like, maybe you're all wrong, and actually, this could be the worst. This could be the absolute best. We will move on to the final starter sigil, at least now, which is Sigil of the Feral Fighter. And when that comes up on the screen, I can read it out. I think they were looking to make a quick change, but I may have just bumped ahead. So with this one, upon dealing melee damage, you have a 10% chance to set your attack speed to 1.8 seconds for the next 3 attacks within the next 12 seconds. You also gain an additional 25% experience in both attack and strength. Now, one thing to note on this is that the increased attack speed only applies to melee attacks. So you won't be able to use it and then suddenly have, really fast magic attacks or really fast range attacks, or vice versa. It is purely just your melee hits. But when I saw this being put forward, my first instinct was someone running around with Statius Warhammer in their inventory, or a barrel chest anchor, a really, really slow hitting weapon, maybe even an Elder Maul if someone manages to get that through from Chambers of Xeric, and they're hitting with a really fast attack weapon to be able to proc this, and then suddenly out comes the Elder Maul and it's bopping their enemy on the head at 1.8 seconds every hit. So 3 attacks pretty quickly. You know, that's 3 game ticks, which is the same speed as a blowpipe on rapid.
Yeah, I think with the VLS in particular, it's super scary. Like, with VLS, you know, it bases attack off 25% of your, it rolls off your defense bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to just VLS, 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 constant 30s or 40s potentially through prey melee. If someone's got, like, you know, if they have even overheads up, you still, and they've only got bruise on them, you could get a KO potential really easily. The 10% chance is a bit luck based, but and you got to be obviously up close, which kind of balances the melee out a bit more. Whereas the range and mage obviously get frozen away. You can't really utilize the feral fighter as well. But it's definitely gonna be really interesting. You're 100% right about the slow hitting weapons to make them much more powerful. If someone can get an Elder Maul, though, it comes from Raze and it's a mega rare. With the increased drop rates, there might be a few in the game, and someone could just pop, like, you know, 60, 60, 60 in a matter of a couple of seconds. So yeah, really interesting for the 1v1s. I think that'd be quite unique.
I think this will change up a lot of metas early game as well. I think some people might just pick this just to get bonus XP from quests, because you obviously get 10 times in quests, and that stacks with this as well. You could get so much XP from quests, and then in the future, like a day in or 2, then get a different sigil and use that. So this might not primarily be used for that initial reason, but they'll use it for the XP after. Because that is just so OP. Like, the 25% boost is just such a time saver.
Yeah, definitely. And like, one thing we've not really talked about either is you can change the sigils, can't you? You can, like, take them off and buy new ones, and then, so depending on what you want to do, what kind of playstyle you want, like Dino mentioned before, whether it's PKing or it's PVMing or whatever, you could just mix it up and change it on the fly, which is going to be really interesting as well. You're not just locked out or locked into one thing like with leagues in the past. If you chose the wrong relic, you'd be a walker and everyone would laugh at you, and you'd be miles behind everyone. So at least this time round in DMM, you can, you know, if something doesn't work out for you, you can always try and get yourself another one or buy another one off the Grand Exchange and trade it out. So I really like that factor as well.
This one seems really strong for, you know, when PKs get in situations of like the bank fights where it comes down to KO potential rather than Outlast. I feel like this would be a game changer there, because I don't think anyone would expect a 3-tick VLS coming at them 3 times in a row. So I think we'll change all that up as well.
I think it's definitely going to flip some metas around and really just make people think about how to prepare for when it comes into, especially the 1v1, you know, the finale event. So yeah, you did mention PureSpam. I'll just cover about sigils. Sigil power-ups, you are able to swap them as and when you please, as long as you're in a safe zone. You essentially can unattune and reattune sigils as and when. You can only have 2 combat-related ones active at any one time, though. There are 3 different types of sigil. There's a utility, combat, and skilling, as well as 3 different tiers of them, each with varying different power levels. Yeah, so as long as you're unschooled, you're able to enter the safe zone, you can change them. So yeah, pretty much think about that as part of your strategy. As Mank says, you may want to take this, you know, sigil to get a lot of your early quest progressions out of the way, benefiting from, you know, the 10 times all the way up to 25 times XP boost, plus as well an extra 25% on top of that, and then just swap it out when you're done. Pick something else. Really just cater the sigil power-ups that you use around the type of gameplay and strategy that you're going in with, essentially. Now, there was another point I was just about to make about sigils, but it has completely slipped my mind, which is not great. So what about instead? Oh, here we go. All right, I remember now. Now you've seen all 3 of them. Great host, by the way. Now you've seen all 3. Has your opinion changed at all on which one might get used the most?
I don't know. I think it could go either way, right, Dino?
Yeah, it completely depends, I say, on the play style. I think, as much as I said the mage one is looking strong, I think in terms of the 3 weeks, it might be one of the weakest there, but then it'll be very strong for the 1v1s at the end. So it might be one of the ones you want to sort of swap and change.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to pick their own way, and everyone in their head kind of thinks, I'm going to go the melee route, I'm going to go the range route, so it will just kind of help them with that route rather than change anyone's, because they're all pretty powerful in respect to each other. So, yeah.
Okay. So pretty game changing. I think it's safe to say that all three of them are going to change the game quite drastically. And talking about quite drastic changes, another one that we introduced into Deadman Reborn is the 3-life system. For those that are unaware, in Deadman Reborn, you start your account with 3 lives. If you die to another player, regardless of whether you're schooled or not, you lose a life. As well as losing your life, you lose any items that you had equipped at the time. You can't protect anything, not even, one item if you use the protect from item prayer. You also lose the 10 most valuable items from your bank, as well as anything that was stored. No, sorry, not anything that was stored in deposit key. That's saved, don't worry, for now. You have two opportunities to die, basically, where your only real loss are the items you're wearing and your 10 most valuable items within your bank. On your third death, however, it's a little bit more punishing. You're actually going to end up losing everything that you had. All your items equipped, all the items from your bank, all of the items from your safety deposit box. In addition to that, you lose all of your combat experience. That's attack, strength, defense, ranged, mage, prayer, hit points. And you also lose 10% of all of your skilling experience. But you get to keep your quest progress. And in this time, if that happens, any sigils that you had, regardless of whether they were attuned or unattuned, are completely lost. So pretty big change there. What do you guys think about it?
The first time I heard about it, it sounded incredibly harsh. But with some of the other things in place, like the combat bracket worlds, which I think we'll get into later, I think it will be a nice change. I think you have to see how it goes, I guess. Because I would say Deadman's biggest issue was people sort of getting demotivated when they died and quitting. So I was surprised to see there was a 3-life system at first. But let's say with the combat brackets, I think it should be not easy to rebuild, but it's doable to rebuild. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it works, how it pans out.
It definitely adds the risk back into Deadman, because in the past people would just get rid of all of their items, give it to friends, and then go quest. But now you can't do that anymore. If you go quest with no risk and you think you're completely safe, well, nope, you got 3 lives to work with, so you don't want to get reset, you don't want to lose all your combat XP. So it'll make people play a bit differently. But at the same time, sigils, they're looking pretty powerful. The XP buffs are going to be really strong, so even if you do die and your combat stats get reset, you still have skills to rebuild from, and you're going to be able to get all that XP back really fast anyway, so it won't be the end of the world if you die 3 times, but yeah, it should be really good still, I think.
Yeah, I think the 3 lives, I was more against it than I was for it, for the same reason these guys just mentioned about it being quite hard for people to keep playing and getting discouraged if they die and lose all their items. But I think the benefit of being able to rebuild your account, keeping stuff like quest unlocks, keeping things like the 10% loss of XP and non-combat stats is only quite minimal as well, and then being able to try all these different sigils and having the option to be in these worlds like 3 to 35, 35 to 70, 70 to 100, and then 100 plus. Like, it will create different metas and different ways of playing, and people making pures and different PK builds, and that's what personally I think is going to outweigh potentially a lot of people wanting to quit if they die, because they've got the option now to be in a more balanced bracket to rebuild and to try something different. And that's what's really fun about temporary game modes like this, when there's all these meta changes and such. You like in leagues like we found last time, I think I made a range account, on a lot of other streamers did as well. I made a certain build account, and then they got bored of it after a few weeks, or that we played too many hours. Then we're like, oh, but we can try this one now. We'll try a mage out, give that a go instead. So I think there's a lot of replayability in this Deadman, and since it lasts a month long, even if you do die 3 times, you can try something different, and that's probably what I'll be doing. So I'm looking most forward to that out of all the changes in this Deadman.
Yeah, I think for me as well, like, you guys pretty much hit every nail on the head. Obviously, it is a big change. It's quite a drastic one, and a bit of a risk as well, knowing that people typically don't want to go through the whole process of rebuilding during Deadman and the thought of losing all of your items. But at the same time, I personally am kind of hopeful that it will just remove a lot of that kind of like fear factor from Deadman. It's like, you are right to be scared and worried, but like, if you know that you're going to lose everything anyway, then maybe items won't hold as much value anymore, and people will just go into it with the intention of trying to have fun, because ultimately, as long as you're able to get your combat levels up, your skilling levels, your skilling levels are going to pretty much be secure. 10% of your experience lost isn't a massive deal breaker. You can get that back in like the last week, for example, if you're looking to qualify. So I'm really hopeful that a lot of people will see this as a way of like, you know what, actually, this is my opportunity to go and try something that would never be able to try before. It's never been done before. It's probably never going to happen again, because we want every Deadman going forward to be completely different. So why not make the most of it? And I've been speaking to many different players who they are building their entire strategy around intentionally dying 3 times to reset their account with all of the quests completed so they can go and absolutely dominate certain combat brackets. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I'm sure there's plenty of points that we can go over and the different kind of builds and stuff that make that work. But I am just really excited to just see that, and to see how far people can push an account that in the main game would be completely and utterly broken. Because again, it's Deadman, it's not main game, it is completely separate. It's meant to be about going out and fighting with other people and taking their stuff and just having fun and getting to experience something you wouldn't be able to normally. Yeah, that being said, it is also pretty risky. I just hope people see the fun side of it, and maybe if you do end up dying, rebuild and try do something different. Pick a different starter relic, and instead of going down the melee route this time, maybe just go around and see how far you can push a mage build. Having access to Barrow's gloves at level 3, try that out, see what you can do.
I think it's one of the most interesting things about a lot of MMOs in general, and RMMO many years ago, so pure builds and Zerkers and all that kind of stuff, like building a certain account that you feel like you've made choices in to like make it a certain way. For example, if you want to play DMM for the first time but you're worried about dying, you've got a 3 to 35 bracket that you can literally just go like defense HP and be almost unkillable and run around and like do skilling stuff and be the king in that world and have like loads of money and stuff if you wanted to, or you built a pure before, because it takes too long. But in this game mode, you can with 20 times XP rates and such, you can make a pure in a couple of hours, and you can go around and one hit the fishes and Cafferby or whatever you want to do, and and have a bit of fun. So I think it's a really that's one thing that a lot of people are going to find out for the first time, is kind of strategizing and trying out these different account types. And I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of enjoyment out of that, which they didn't expect beforehand. A lot of people haven't played that kind of account before, or made a certain a limited account build. So I think that's a really interesting part that's going to be really fruitful as well.
Yeah, I think one important point as well that a lot of people forget, maybe, because I always see a lot of comments where people are saying, they're worried about they're going to get attacked, or people are going to, rag them, for example, or intentionally just attack them without trying to do anything apart from annoy them. But the thing with the free life system now is that anyone that does that, anyone that does attack you, they are also risking their lives. So it is really favorable in this Deadman to always try and fight back where you can. If you can kill your opponent, you get a minute of immunity, so no one else is going to be able to attack you. You're not going to have to worry about being attacked by another person that may have joined along with that person who attacked you. As well as the PJ timer, you'll be safe for 9.6 seconds. So if someone is going to go out of their way to skull and actually attack you, then just fight them back. Because you can take their life away just as much as they can take yours. And for that peak air, they've probably got a lot more to lose if you're in the phase of like building your account up. They're already ready. So also just think about that. I think it adds risk to both sides more than it ever has before, at least. All right, so we briefly touched on it as a way that kind of like complements the free life system. Let's talk about combat level worlds and how they work now. So in Deadman Reborn, we're going to be splitting up the worlds to various different combat level brackets, meaning that you won't be having to worry about a level 3 getting hit by a level 120 or 126. And the way that will work is we'll have 4 brackets, essentially. We're going to have combat levels 3 to 35 in one bracket, and then it will go levels 36 to 70 in the second bracket. The third bracket consists of levels 71 to 100, and then the final bracket is combat levels 101 to 126. If you're a higher level, you won't be able to log into a lower level combat bracket, and if you're a lower level, you can't log into a higher level combat bracket. If you were to level up your combat outside of a PvP situation, then you'll be basically told to go to the next level bracket. If you were in PvP and somehow, or in combat, sorry, just in combat generally. So if you leveled up combat during a quest, for example, you're out of combat, then you'll be kicked out of the world and you'll be told to log into the next bracket. But if you're in combat, we don't want to kick you out instantly. Instead, what's going to happen is actually it's made so that you can no longer attack anyone. You can't attack anyone, you can't attack NPCs, but other players can attack you. You won't be able to fight them back. You'll also only be able to bank 3 times, and you can't gain any experience at all. Whether it's from quest rewards, from skilling, from lamps, no XP at all. So you'll basically be told, you can't be on this world anymore, log out and go log into another world. And that's obviously just to prevent anyone from intentionally, like, you know, leveling up to 36 or something and being a little bit higher than they should be and trying to abuse combat brackets. But in essence, you're with people that are very similar kind of combat level to you. And we touched on how people are going to try and min-max these combat brackets for particular account builds. Do you guys think that there's going to be a very particular build for each bracket? And if so, would you be willing to share a little bit of info on what that might be?
The only one that I can think of is the Status Warhammer. I think I saw a tweet from Ash a couple of days ago where people were asking, hey, is the Status Warhammer going to be 75 attack or 75 strength? Because all Warhammers have recently changed with the combat stuff, and I see Ben smiling away, which probably confirms it. So, yeah, Status Warhammer is going to be insane. It's got like a 35% special attack, which hits 25 to 125% of the max hit, so it like almost always hits. So you could just literally go around with a really low level combat, 35 combat, Status Warhammer account. If you can get a hold of Status Warhammer, that is, and you can go and try and one hit bop all the skillers, all the low level accounts. That's the main one that sticks out for me. What about you guys? What comes to mind? Certain builds?
I mean, I'd love... Go on and Dino, you go.
No, sorry, I was going to say that's definitely pretty the most unique one there. Other than that, it would just be, I would say, similar PK builds to what we have in the main game, like the Pure, for example, for one of the lower brackets. Probably a Piety Pure, I'd say, for Combat 99
Sean's gonna have
or
your
100.
head. Piety.
Oh, you beat me to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, a Piety account. And then obviously the mains for the main bracket. And me personally, it will depend what's sort of most active. Because I still don't know what sort of account I'll end up with. I'll probably try and have multiple, but I will just be PKing whatever the most active sort of bracket is, depending on the build. So what was you saying, Mank?
No, I was just going to say, like, people probably think, oh, Deboers at 10 HP will be really popular in the first bracket, but then if they've got 10 HP, they're really easy to kill, and if you've got 3 lives, you're going to get reset. So I don't know if people actually go for, like, Debo builds and that kind of stuff, but it'll be interesting to see if there are. I'm sure someone like SparkMac or someone will do some really crazy content where they just go Debo and people like that. Yeah, it should be really funny, and I think, like Dino said, most brackets will be similar to old school, because the only big change I would say is VLS. So people might favour getting higher attack in the med bracket, which is 71 to 100, and maybe get 78 attack or 75 attack for the VLS rather than staying lower attack.
Okay, I think I'm looking forward to probably, let's say, like week 2, maybe like the very early phase of week 3. I want someone to have farmed the hell out of Nightmare so much that we're going to see a full Inquisitor Pure with Statius Warhammer. I'm waiting for it. God. I'm excited. But yeah, I'm kind of hopeful as well. Oh, I'm going to have to shut the door in a second. That we'll see maybe some people that, obviously it's a tournament at the end of the day. I mentioned about having fun before, but there is a prize pool of $32,000 on the line. So not everyone is going to be playing for fun. But if it could be that, well, maybe I'm just overly optimistic and too hopeful here. But I'd love to see people play, maybe a few days during the second week, maybe even the third week, where their sole intention is having these account builds and they're playing it almost as if it's just a normal PvP world, but with massive risk on there, and that we form this little community of people that are just constantly rebuilding these pure accounts to go out and just fight each other. And it's with no intention of going to kill the fishers or kill the skillers. It's people fighting each other that are making similar account builds that just aren't possible elsewhere. And I'd love to see someone make some videos on that. So if you've got some content creator friends, hook up with them and have some fun. Right. Oh, sorry, Dino.
No, so as I say, I'm sure you will see that. I already know a few people that are looking to make the same builds. And obviously if they bump into each other, it's like it comes down to an ego thing. They won't want to leave the other one to have their
Exactly,
area.
yeah.
So I'm sure you'll see a lot of it.
There we go. Maybe I'm not being too optimistic then. Right. I reckon if I ask one more question, and then we can move on to revealing the 3 sigils that players voted on over the social media channels, and then we can quickly go through those because we're running short on time. So whilst the production team prepare that for us, how about I ask you, generally speaking, do you think Deadman Reborn is going to be better than any other Deadman we've put on before?
Oh, I think it's going to be better than we've seen DMM in many years now. Better than any DMM. I remember the early days of DMM. I'm talking 5+ years ago when it was in its infant stage, and Matt K comes on stage to talk about DMM, and he says, "Have you ever seen someone woodcutting a tree and just wanted to slay them and take their resources?" And that bloodlust in his voice, it just put me onto demo mode. And the early days when no one knew anything, and the servers were so active, like thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people playing for months on end, and just they'd die, they'd rebuild, die and rebuild. And now it's got to the point where it's just, the meta's like established in that. So I think shaking up the meta, we might see a revisit of those early days. I really hope so. And I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I think it's going to be sick.
All right, good answer. Thank you, PureSpam.
So I've got a good point leading on from Ian's point. I think in the past, the 15-minute timer when you skull on someone may have been a bit too punishing. So now this Deadman, because you only get skulled for 5 minutes, it might actually encourage people to attack the person that's fishing with them or cutting their trees, I think it's a lot easier for people to skull up and not have as much risk. So this Deadman might be a bit more crazy, and there might be a bit more action going on around Gielinor, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's important to remember that it's 5 minutes skull timer, and you get 1 minute of immunity for killing a person. So you only have to tank for 4 minutes, whereas before you'd be tanking for 15. So running around the map for 4 minutes it's not that difficult, or it shouldn't be that difficult. Sorry, I should say. So yeah, hopefully we see less of the people all forming alliances and making friends and not attacking each other, and there's a lot more action, and people do just want to go out there and essentially decimate the Deadman population. And sorry, Dono, I'll let you have your chance now.
No, I would probably say I'm one of the few people that I still really enjoyed even the last Deadman mode that came out. I know a lot of people were saying it was very stale, very repetitive, but I still love that. But when this first came out, when the sigils were announced at first, again, I was a bit worried. I was like, oh no, it's going to be too easy to get kills, too easy to... It's like it's going to die out too fast. But now the more we're learning about it, the more excited I am getting for it. And yeah, I would just say I'm definitely looking I don't know if it'll be the best one, but it's going to be better than the last few, I think.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'll take that. That's positive enough for me. That's got me. You've got me excited now. So let's look at some new sigils. And the first sigil that we're going to reveal is the sigil of garments. So we can hopefully get that brought up on the screen. This is a skilling sigil. It's a tier 2 sigil, and the effect is that you always have the set effects of all skilling outfits. Okay,
so you've got graceful, rogue's outfit. I'm not sure what other outfits there are because I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to skilling.
It's like there's a woodcutting outfit. There's some other outfits that do other things that I can't remember off the top of my head. But essentially everything all in one without having to wear any of them. Oh, also the angler outfit as well, the fishing one. So, yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of people in the chat just being like, what the hell, this is useless for the 1 versus 1s. You got to remember that you can switch out these sigils whenever you want to. So like if you want to go get, do thieving, or you've got to train it for whatever skill, or you've got to go train woodcutting for a skill. If you pick up this sigil early on, you can either sell it to the exchange to a skill that might want it, or you could use it to get the top 2K to actually compete in, the final $32,000 prize pool. So I think it's out of all the sigils so far, it probably is the most lackluster, I'm not gonna lie, for Deadman mode or PvP game mode. But still, it'd be easy enough to grind out the sets and such at least. So it'll have its uses for sure.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, is that people just aren't thinking about the bigger picture here. You've got 3 weeks, and the way that you qualify is being in the top 2,048 people at the very end of the the qualifying period essentially. And Sigil of the Garments will give you access to the construction, farming, fire making, fishing, mining, woodcutting, and graceful outfits. So it's a nice little boost, and that boost adds on top of the the multiplier that you'd normally get as well. So yeah, it's not like a super flashy, oh my god, this is going to help me win the 1v1, but that's why it's a skilling sigil. There's got to be different tiers of them, and it's also tier 2. So yeah, there's that. I guess actually one thing I need to clarify is that it may also include the likes of the Zealot's robes and the rogue equipment too. So I'll all of the information, I can't remember off the top of my head right now because I've been so flustered with all of the conversation we were having, and I probably should have taken a note. I apologize, but it will all be added into the blog of sorts when it goes live tomorrow. So you'll have the full information anyway, and we'll also be sending it over to the wiki, so you'll be able to see everything that the sigils themselves give. So yeah, sorry, Manked, Dino, any thoughts on Sigil of Garments?
I quite like it. Like I said, I know it's not a PvP thing, so a lot of people are like you say, well, what's the point in this? But I especially how you can toggle sigils on or off, or you can interchange them. I can see this being useful for like select things, but yeah, maybe not a permanent one.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, if you kept this on all the time, I think you'd be pretty crazy. You'd do it when you're very specifically going out of your way to do a bunch of skilling, right?
Like you can't get the fishing outfit, can you, in Deadman mode for minnows, or can you? Maybe you can. Either way, with triple minnows and that, you can get so many fish per hour with this as well. And like early game skillers and people that want to swap and stuff like that, they can utilize this.
Someone out there is big braining it, I'm sure. All right, well, that leads us on to the next sigil, which is a utility sigil, and this one is Sigil of the Serpent. Another tier 2 one, and this sigil, when you activate it, it will cure venom and poison, and you'll gain immunity from both effects for 1 minute, and once activated, it has a 3-minute cooldown.
It's a needed
I like
one.
that one.
Yeah, because Zulrah's allowed now. It's one of the scariest things, I think, if you're tanking someone and then you get, after a while, you see 20s happening on you. It's just like, oh, I'm dead, right? So I think that's a very useful one, especially for people PVMing and they don't have pots or anything. Yeah, it's good.
I think early game it's really good too, because not many people have that high herbal level very quickly to make antivenoms. What is it, 90 to make the antivenom plus potions? So you can just use anti-poisons yourself to like double click them and then get revenomed again. But for PVMers, doing Zulrah early on to try and get those items that are super helpful for further PVM, I think it's quite unique, quite useful. Definitely a place for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you were outside of herb lore, if you wanted to get a hold of an antidote or an anti-venom, your way of getting them would be from the emblem store. And the anti-venom is 35,000 points. And no, it's cool. It's 35,000 points, which is more than a super combat, and is also more than a Saradomin in brew. So if you were looking to save your points and put them in elsewhere, maybe get yourself more brews, get yourself more combat potions, it's essentially just a free version of one of those. Again, this is one of those I don't want to call it the way I see it anyway. I don't want to call it a throwaway sigil, but it's one that you'll take out for a very specific reason. If you don't want to have the potions in your inventory, and you know that you might need it for a longer period of time, well, you can just pop that and then gain the effects of it. Not have to worry about spending a huge amount of money. Probably not one of the most expensive ones on the Grand Exchange if you were to buy it as well. So it could be a really easy way of you getting access to very early antidotes and antivenoms. Dino, you look like you want to speak, but you also maybe not.
No, I completely agree with that. It's like you say, it's not. It's the same as the last one. It's not going to be like a final 1v1 relic, but it will be something like, it's like having a permanent antivenom basically with you, which we needed with Zulrah being in the game this time.
Perfect. All right. Well, maybe the next sigil is one that you want to take into the 1v1s with you, because this is a combat related sigil. It's also a tier 3 one, and it is Sigil of Rampage. Now, Sigil of Rampage, when you're alternating combat styles, it will increase your rampage count up to a maximum of 5. Consecutive attacks with the same style will reset the counter. but each rampage count increases your damage and accuracy
That's sick.
by 5%. So in this instance, if you were, for example, hybriding, every time you switch between melee and ranged, or mage range, vice versa, you'll get a stack of rampage. That goes up to a total of 5, which will give you overall 25% increased damage and accuracy. However, if you were to use the same attack style twice in a row, you'll reset your counter back down to 0.
I love this. This is so cool, and it really rewards the PKs in the final, especially those that are able to switch and fake their opponents out really well. So I love this, and it definitely gets me excited for the other tier 3 sigils as well. Like if this is one of them, what are the other ones going to be? Because this is awesome.
With the percentages, when it gets to 25, if you keep switching styles, will that stay at 25%?
Yeah, it will maintain it.
That sounds incredibly strong. But yeah.
Yeah. The only time it will reset is if you attacked twice with the same style. So as long as you're always switching between 2 different styles, you'll be able to maintain 5 stacks.
The thing is,
it'll be some big hits.
It's really interesting too, because like the meta of NHing is kind of like trying to outplay your opponent, almost like a game of rock paper scissors, in terms of what you're going to guess you're going to use and such. But if you're not able to use the same attack style twice in a row, suddenly it's not a 1 out of 3, it's a 1 out of 2. So you're going to not be able to go for that extra attack and have a 50-50 of them getting the prayer right. So it should be really interesting to see how people put it into their play style as well.
I was thinking the exact same. It kind of reduces what you can do to outplay them, but at the same time, it really depends. For the 1v1s, it might not be as powerful because people can kind of predict it easier, but then just running around Deadman for 3 weeks with this, that's going to be crazy. Like normally the annoying meta is in banks, you can't really fight people because no one really dies. But if you have this and you've got damage and accuracy, that's crazy powerful. And I love accuracy buffs because I feel like RuneScape always needs those kind of items to increase accuracy, because when you're DHing, you hit 20 zeros. So I love the accuracy buff.
Someone made a good point in the chat. We're changing attack style on Salamander's work for this. Can you imagine? You've got no idea what you're just switching between the 3 constantly. Just getting hit 40s by a Salamander or something because of the increased damage. That'd be pretty unique.
Wow. All right, Salamander in the 1v1s. I don't know the answer to that. In all honesty, I don't know how it works code wise. I'm just your gracious host. So, but if someone does that and it works, then you know what? Hats off to you. So that's all gone. Sorry, Manked.
I was just going to say it also changes the meta potentially as well, because obviously we haven't seen the other sigils, but in the past there's been a lot of people that just play tanks, so they just do range and melee, but obviously they can't use this, so this might be good for the Brids, but obviously we have to see the other sigils to determine how powerful this is compared to those, and whether this will make Brids a lot better than tanks.
Should definitely make for some interesting changes in the 1v1s. And I'm glad that that we started with the tier 2s, skilling utility and brought this in, because hopefully it gives you a little glimpse of what's to come. As I say, that's now in total you'll have seen I think it's 9 sigils if you count the ones that are in the blog out of 53. So yeah, plenty more to come, and there are some very interesting effects that haven't yet been revealed.
How many did you say there were? Sorry.
So there were 3 revealed in the initial Deadman blog.
Yeah.
There were just random. Then there was 3 in ToolVesta's video that we went over at the start, so that's 6, and then 3 more now, which is 9.
And there's 53 in total.
53 in total.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome. Screw the skilling one then. There's going to be loads more out there, I'm sure, that to get hyped about. This is that's incredible. So, man.
There's definitely more to get hyped over than all the skilling outfits. You know what? We kind of joked internally that that would be voted in because it's got a really cool icon, but it's actually out of the 3 that people could have chose, you all voted for the worst one, in my opinion.
Oh, there you go.
So same actually with the utility one with the venom. It was kind of obvious with it being a snake. I think people were just hopeful that it would be something else, but alas, it was not. The other 2 were great, so I'm really excited to let you see all of them. We are closing up on time now. but there are just a few more things that I just wanted to go over. And I wondered, and Dino, I'm going to direct this one to you first. Apologies, I'm just tickling the dog. Because you said that you've been doing some planning recently. And I wondered if you could potentially give us any tips to someone who might be starting Deadman mode for the first time.
Oh no. It's a hard. It massively depends what sort of route you want to go down. I would say if you're, again, it depends how familiar you are with the game as well. If you're completely new and fairly new to the game, I would say don't limit yourself. Like, I think we all started playing Deadman where we just played to have fun. And I think that's why we all fell in love with it. And like I say, you die, you'll get reset, you try something else. For the more experienced people though, it's definitely going to come down to how they want to play it. And I think this time more than ever, it's going to be very distinct styles, be it like a ranger, a major, especially for the first week anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like, it's down to the person, in my opinion. It will come down to what they want to do.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe they can join you in your Twitch chat and ask you next time that you're live during the Deadman event itself, and maybe get some tips and watch you live, yeah?
Yeah, I'll be down for that. They'll get to laugh at me dying probably, but hey.
Okay. One of the tips that I'm just going to steal some thunder from Dino. One tip that I would give, which is also something we didn't mention when we were talking about the combat bracket worlds, is make full use of the protection that you get given. So you get 15 minutes when you first start your account, and then you get an hour of protection when you level up into a new combat bracket. So if you go from 35 to level 36, you're going to get an hour of protection from other players. So use that time to do the riskiest things that you can think imaginable. Anything that puts you far away from the safe zones, anything that gets you a heap load of cash, go and do that in that hour and utilize them to the fullest. You'll get that in every single time that you level up into a new combat bracket world. So you get 3 hours of protection in total. Use it wisely, because you don't get it afterwards unless you wipe your account and start all over again. All right, next question. I'm going to direct this one towards you, Manked. It's a big one. If you could add one thing to Deadman Reborn, what would it be and why?
Okay. I thought about this a little bit in the past, and I've always thought that Deadman should be like the experimental ground that we just try things and see if it works. So it'd be something, I would say Karate, but maybe something like Turmoil or Soul Split. Just so we can put it in and just see how it affects the game and see if it's too OP, if it works well, and then we could maybe have it in old school as well, you know? Just something like that, and just to mix up the meta and, you know, make it all more crazy, I guess. I just want Deadman to be completely unknown and crazy, so something like that I think might change things up.
Okay, I really like that answer, actually, and it's kind of something that we've done in the past with Deadman events, actually. I remember there was one Deadman seasonal event where we recalculated the way that magic defenses works in an attempt to see if it helped balance out the combat triangle in PvP. So there's definitely opportunity for us to try new things out there. You know, the VLS was first introduced into Deadman and then was polled to be added into main game, and still to this day remains unavailable until further notice, but maybe it will come back one day. But I definitely see a lot of opportunity for it there. Sorry, PureSpam. The no voters are drinking your tears right now.
Oh, literally.
And I'll ask you the last question, PureSpam. What are you looking forward to the most with Deadman Reborn?
Honestly, mate, just being a nerd, sitting in my chair, lots and lots of hours a day, streaming, talking to my community, playing with friends, watching all the other streamers as well, Manked, Dino, Adam, etc. So many. Everyone goes live Demon pretty much, and to hop streams between everyone to see how far they progressed, what their plans are. That's what I'm most looking forward to. In terms of the actual game mechanics of what's changed, I'll be going down the route of 101 combat bracket so that I unlock all the quests, such as Barrow's Gloves, because I hate questing. I've just been playing a hardcore. I've had to quest everything. Thank you, Quest Helper, by the way. But yeah, I hate questing. So I'm probably going to start from level 3 again and have B Gloves, and then go up to like the mid-level bracket or the low-level brackets and make some unique accounts to have some fun on, I think, while the limited game modes about. That's the most important thing, just to make best use of the time. But yeah, super excited, mate. Really looking forward to waking up tomorrow and gaming all day and night for the next week solid, probably.
Awesome. All right, I really appreciate your answers, guys. Thank you so much. There are some Twitch chat questions. I nearly said that very wrong, and there could have been an extra T in there that would have made things pretty bad. But I don't know the answer to them all, and I know for a fact that the content creators that have joined me today don't know the answers to them just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick fire through some of them. Apologies in advance to the production team, because I'm just going to read it out and then give an answer, so we won't be able to put it onto the screen, and then I'll go over the announcements. Now, Foe asked, the video released yesterday from Torvesta said it's 6 damage over 6 seconds, not 5. Can we get clarification? That's in regards to the ranged relic, and I hopefully covered that clarification a moment ago. This is for the Ruthless Ranger. So the Ruthless Ranger now deals 5 damage over the next 6 seconds, draining a total of 30 run energy. The damage is doubled against targets with no run energy, so that will be 10 damage over 6 seconds instead. And the reason behind that is essentially it felt too weak in playtesting, and we wanted it to seem stronger, especially when you compare it against the melee and the mage relics. The next question that I can answer is from Boomerboy101. For the Feral Fighter sigil, does it show for the opponent when it procs, and how easy will it be to tell when these sigils proc in game? You should be able to notice them. Pretty much all of the sigils that have activation effects have their own unique animations, or at least animations that should be somewhat relevant to them, so you should be able to notice when these things happen. Fingers crossed. Walker Way OSRS says, does Nigel Lumbridge have a free teleport like it used to in previous Deadman modes? The answer is yes. The next one I can look at is from Astro Jams. Relating to the Ruthless Ranger sigil, does the range effect stack with Morrigan's throwing axes? The answer is yes. Cashier, in Deadman mode, 60-minute protection is given when you go into a new world in a higher bracket. Does it also keep you safe when you enter the wilderness? I.e., if one goes from 35 to 36 combat and hop to a higher bracket world, can we roam around the wilderness without getting attacked for 60 minutes? Yes, the protection is everywhere. You are fully covered. The Noobster, will the 1 hour immunity reapply if you've previously gotten up to those brackets? Yes, it will. Embu has asked if combat achievements and the rewards, like Private God Wars dungeon instances, are enabled in Deadman. Combat achievements is enabled, however, there may be some achievements that you might not be able to complete. We did try go through all of them to make sure that we could ensure combat achievements was completable on Deadman, but I do believe that there are a few jobs, I can't remember the exact status of, but it may be that you won't be able to complete a certain tier, and we won't be looking to make changes for that in Deadman. Can you clarify the PJ timer coming from Scriblio? Is it the same as current Rev Caves? The PJ timer is 9.6 seconds. That's all I can tell you. Le Wufui has said, are you locked into the sigils you choose, or can you swap them in and out? You can swap them in and out as and when you please, as long as you are unschooled and in a safe zone. You can attune to 3. 2 of them can be combat, or you can have 3 of non-combat if you really wanted to. Mad Cause Bad has asked, Blight Sack only working in the wilderness or everywhere? They work everywhere. Should say that in the blog as well. And I think that is probably going to cover everything that I have to answer. There's a few more in there, but I apologize if I didn't get through them all. I want to go over the announcements quickly, and then we'll wrap things up. I'll let you guys that have joined me today have a quick chance to shout out your channels and such, and then we'll go from there. So for anyone that is interested, exclamation, and this best be all of you, by the way, every single person, and if not you, then tell your friend, they might care about it. Maybe your friend caring about it will make you care about it, and you'll both come and play. That'll be great. Exclamation mark Deadman. Tomorrow brings the return of Deadman, and it's back more brutal than ever. The battle begins at 12 o'clock BST. That's midday in the UK, 30 minutes after the usual game update time. So prepare yourselves to fight for your lives. All 3 of them, that is. As you try and make it through 21 days in the most dangerous version of Gillinor. Get up to date with our Deadman Reborn news post with exclamation mark Deadman, and we'll also be live on September the 17th for the finale, where we'll have Gamecasters play-by-play showing you all of the action from the new intense 11-round competition format as the finalists fight for a place in the $32,000 prize pool. Now, in order to play Deadman, you need to be a member, and what better way to be a member than to get some cheap membership? Exclamation mark Premier Club. Get the best deal on membership ahead of Deadman's return with the Premier Club Summer Sale. For a limited time, you can get a best value 12-month membership subscription, which means you can not only enjoy Deadman, but all the upcoming content we have, including leagues, Group Ironman, and more that is yet to be revealed. So grab the bumper gold package before it ends on September the 14th with exclamation mark Premier Club. Exclamation mark Torvesta. If you're looking for a handy roundup of what's new to this version of Deadman, check back the VOD, but also !Torvesta, because he has you covered. Check out his guide, which will give you everything you need to know about the upcoming PvP tournament. And then last but not least, !Summer Summit. If you want to get excited for the rest of the upcoming content coming to Old School, then check out the Summer Summit, which is our answer, to the lack of RuneFest. Okay, that's all the announcements I needed to go through. Now I can breathe. Yeah, legit. I want to say a massive thank you to Manked, PureSpam, and Dino for joining me on the stream today. Please, if you haven't already, go to their Twitter channels, give them a follow, and also join across on their Twitch, because I assume all of them will be streaming when Deadman goes live. And this is your opportunity now. And we'll start with Manked, then go PureSpam, and finish off with Dino. Give yourselves a little shout out. Tell people why they should tune into you over everyone else. A little bit of friendly competition. And yeah, thank you once again. Really do appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to be streaming on twitch.tv/manked, and I'm pretty much going to be killing everyone. I probably won't stream straight away when it launches, but it'll be like a day into it, and then I'll be ready, and I'll just be probably doing Slayer, hiding, disguising myself, and then attacking people. So it should be really fun.
Nice. I'll be streaming on twitch.tv/PureSpam. Sorry, a little bit tired after listening to this awesome conversation. All I'll say is if you want to pop by, I'll be doing Slayer and stuff to 1-on-1 combat, then resetting my account and going PKing. Whether you see us or you see anyone else that's live, check around the Old School RuneScape section. Drop your primes on the streamers. It really helps support us. Anyone it is, whoever you want to check out. But yeah, stream hopping, checking out everyone's different strategies is one of the most important things of enjoying the demo mode hype and watching on YouTube as well. So make sure you support your fellow creators and such, and enjoy. Everyone that's playing, have fun. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, and I'll be streaming. My Twitch channel is Dino_XX. This time I'm actually going to be streaming from the start for the first time ever. Normally I'd take a few days off and sort of try and get PK ready and then stream the PK process. But this time I'm actually going to hopefully be helping people, sort of telling them what to do or making a mess of it. But yeah, just thank you for having me on, basically.
No, the thanks go to you guys for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed your company. Once again, everyone in the chat, twitch.tv/Manked. Make sure you go give Manked a follow, and also follow him at MankedUpMage on Twitter. Twitch.tv/PureSpam, and that's at Ian Spam on Twitter, because he's awkward and likes to have separate handles. And then last but not least, we have twitch.tv/Dino_XX, and that's at _DinoXX on Twitter. Please, if you can, go give them a follow. There's the dogs. Someone just got home. Almost perfect timing, but yeah. And obviously, as just to re-echo one of PureSpam's statements there, please go and show your support to all the content creators that are going to be streaming Deadman. We have a Twitch Prime event that I do think just recently ended, so if you have Twitch Prime, you can subscribe to your favorite streamers for free. That is all I have to say for today. Thank you everyone again for joining me. I do really appreciate it. Your company has been fantastic. Thank you for giving me time out of your schedules, and thank you to everyone at home who has been watching in the chat. And we will see you tomorrow at 12 BST for the launch of Deadman Reborn. Bye.